Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here trying to talk about the how Zorga went in different formats. I have been doing this video for quite a while through different time slots to look into Zorga. Last time I think I actually looked into Zorga Mask, and I haven't looked into our newer Zorga with the Faded One skill, with the Define skill. So I think it's a good time to actually look into this. And also, since we are getting close to the end of the current anime season, so we are heading towards another one, or maybe it's the extent of the current one, which I have no idea yet. But I think it's definitely a good time to look into the topping Zorga list and see what's the changes. Now, the resources I usually use is definitely VG Paradox by Fussy. So he did collect everything that he can get. So if you are looking for any sort of deck hints, definitely you can check his site, because he's taking a lot of different tournament results and put them together. So it takes a lot of effort. Make sure you go support, and I'm very thankful that this exists. So you can see right here that I'm actually looking into the Zorga list, and the ones that I will be focusing on will basically be the Japanese one, because I'm in the Japanese format. I play the Japanese cards. If you are in the English matter, then it will be slightly ahead, like in the future to you, because DCBT04 I think haven't landed yet, as far as the recording is, probably. There are some cards that you don't have yet, but most of them you do have them. Now, for the results, I probably would just take a look into these ones. So basically, from July to September, for until June, I think we are still kind of still within the set 2 kind of setup, where we use quite a bit of Bliss Order. We stay at a very defensive way, and then slowly grind, make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger through turns, through binding orders, and then we hit opponents harder, and harder. So it has been that way, and I've been through that era as well, which is quite easy to cause in the timeout if you don't know the deck very well. If you are also playing against a grind deck, then it might just end up tying out very easily. And then we get through the changes, which I have been posting a updated profile already. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out, and I have explained and also break down into different things to talk about, which some of it I will be recovering here as well. But if you want to see how my deck went, you can check that video. Yeah. So let's look into our first list. I think it's basically this one. Is Deluxe Fukuoka 2024, right? So we can just simply check this immediately. Yep. So that's the right one. Okay. So here's the list, where we can first see the right line is a mix of new and old right line. You're using the Ranger chain for the draws, and then you're using the new one to pick up an order card, not on ride, but on your grade 3 ride. So it's one turn later to grab your order. And the idea of using the new one instead of Husk Dragon is that you can kind of prepare instead of having to force yourself to just immediately grab the order when Husk Dragon on board. Because if you ride into Husk Dragon, you have to immediately pick up an order, right? But with the new grade 2, you at least have another chance to wait for it, and maybe you will see the one you need with an extra turn, or you rather save that order to pick it up at a later time. Sometimes it just happens, right? So I think we can see more and more people actually using the grade 2 a lot more, which is great, I guess. It's just that you also need to adapt to this new strategy. But the grade 1, you will see from different lists, Ranger chain is not the only one option. Some people also using the new one. But in here, I think if you are choosing a Ranger chain, you are more confident that you have an order in hand to discard for the draw 2. So you're more believing into Ranger chain, I would put it this way. Some people like me like to do a little bit of gambling with the new one because we can actually increase a unit into the drop zone, right? Of course, we might see 0 orders and all of them are triggers. That can happen, but it's not that likely. And so far, the new one is doing me great, so I'm using the new one. But if you want a more kind of stable way to go through your right line, then you probably will be going for the Ranger chain, right? So going through this list, which okay, you can see all of those. So first we have all max out our personal rights, which is quite common. And then during this time, it's still early in July, where we are still not using any prison dragon. We are using the karma because we are kind of still playing the grind game. Because if you can see how this deck lays out, is actually very like grinding still, where you have the grade 2s to do the intercepts so they won't die out. With prison dragon, it stays as well, but then it provides no shield value, but karma does. And as long as you don't use your Zorga skill to reborn the karma, because they will reborn themselves, you will kind of always have intercepts. Unless you apply your divine skill onto it, then it will die, but if not, it will stay, so you have more shield value. And then people are using the butterfly girl a little bit more because in here you can see they're still playing like at least 2 Blizzarder, and then once you have at least 1 in the drop zone, she will get power, and if you have none, then you can bind her to grab more Blizzarder for you to use. If you already have, then you can pick up another order. So this is definitely a hidden gem. And then we are starting to apply her into different Zorga decks, since like kind of a little bit more upgrade after set 2. And then the Shadow Cloak is here for sure. You do need to drop the cards, and also this also links back to why you are using the new grade 2, because with Husk Dragon, the timing with Shadow Cloak is the worst, because you need to pick up an order first before you go into Shadow Cloak. But if you are using the new grade 2, you can use the Shadow Cloak to drop something that you actually need to, and that you want to go into your hand, and then when you go from grade 2 to Zorga, then you can pick that up. So that's why. And in here you can see no Blizzarder PG here, for I would say for a few reasons. One is because after you use that Blizzarder, it will be gone, so it won't be count as anything that you can try to grab with the Butterfly Girl. It's not a binder card, so it's not contributing to your pot of greed. So and worst thing is it can recycle, so people rather to have something that they can recycle, or in this deck build case, it could be just for flexing because they're using the deluxe PG, which I don't have a single copy at all, unfortunately. I wish I can have at least one, but yeah, it's too expensive for me, so I'm just using the SPs. But it could be that reason as well. But if we are looking into more realistic reason, I would say my estimation will be because the Blizzarder PG isn't actually that helpful, even though we do have like Shiranui and stuff, but I think more, the threat is more on the Shoujo Doji at the time. So unit PG is going to do the job, and it can be recycled so easily. So the more you have and the more Shadow Cloak you have on board, that means you can pick up more PGs as long as you can Soul Blast it, right? So there we go. And then Headhunter for the Counter Blast cut cost, because in this build the Counter Blast is actually quite heavy. You have the Pot of Greed that, depending on how many you bind, the Counter Blast cost will cut, but then with Headhunter you will cut even more. And then Miasma is a very good order that you can turn it kind of into free. This is also important for you to just keep picking up orders, and then you need the Counter Blast for this as well. And then you need the Counter Blast for this one as well. So there's a lot of things that actually requires you to use Counter Blast. So and at that time I think people aren't going for the extra binding builds, so they are still prefer to use the Headhunter for all the Power Plus and also the Counter Blast cut cost, right? And then the triggers, I think, is quite simple lineup. It just 8 crit, 3 fronts for heals, one of the Zoikia OT. So far with current build, I think the Zoikia OT is still the best. In the past we used the Fire OT to make Prison Dragon to hit multiple times, but then since we are focusing on Karma, and unless we your opponent Vanguard is also grade 3, you won't get the crit. So if you put it off early, it won't help you too much. But for Prison Dragon, you can gain crit at any time you drag it out, as long as you choose to do it. So that's the difference. And the Stoichia OT also gives you so much effects that actually can turn things around, maybe. So I think that's why people prefer to use that more. Alright, and then for the order setup is actually also quite simple. You have the corpse for a no cost order and trying to pump the power, because there's a lot of things that actually gain power. So you want to maximize your power, and then the toxin for the pop that you need, and also being free, and people turning into using the regurgitation too, but I am not actually quite a fan of using regurgitation. It has its good point that it can bring 2 units out if you use it correctly, but then it's still competing on the soul. So if you want a no cost version, then I think the toxin is doing you the job, but you have to pop one of yours. So as long as you can find a unit to pop, then I think that's fine. And then the angel letters against the Shiranui, because if you are definitely having trouble facing Shiranui, this is at least a card that can save you a turn. Even though we have the restrictions to make it harder to play, but we can still see Shiranui topping here and there. So yeah, it just not that good if you are not having angel letter and you actually see a Shiranui. And then Miasma, basically drag up the shields that you want and then pick them back up. Because if you use Zorga skill to bring something up, you probably don't want to bounce them up because they already gain power. So Miasma is definitely something that helps you to grab something that you need. And then the Pot of Greed for sure is still important. And then the restraints is still here. Definitely something that is helpful. Yeah, def restraints. Yeah, is something that you can play early. Also free order, increase your drop, grab me something up, and again for free. So, and then the rendering so is always here for sure. Not that you will spam it, but if you need to like highly increase your hand size, that's how you do it. And if you want to gamble a little bit on triggers, that's also the way how you do it. And then the Mystic Habitat is definitely something that stays 100%. You don't need to take it out. And then the Dream, definitely also a good card that you can play early game. And then the Black Magic. This is not the Black Magic. This is the Unnatural Death to pick up basically the Blitz order so you can reuse, and also help you increase the chances to just generate early binds of orders. And then the Tane Machine Gun is here against basically Shiranui and I would say Soldier Doji, because they attack you so many times, they keep calling stuff so many times, so you use this to just make your Vanguard stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, so they can't hit you that hard. But I find this card sometimes a bit hard to use, so I actually drop this. But maybe in the future deck list we can also see the changes. And then of course our Golden Body for a big shield for once and a chance to draw. So yeah, I think this is about it with this deck list, and we can look into the next one. Alright, so the next one is also still using the Ranger chain, but then you can immediately see that Prison Dragon is into the play. And then we also have this little boy here, right? He is here to just increase your bind early, because if you play him early, you have like 2 orders and boost it and hit, while your opponents don't have a lot of shield value. Then you can just simply bind 1 order and grab 1, so you increase your order cards in your bind zone by 1 early game. And then with Zorga keep binding stuff, then you will just get stronger and stronger, right? And then Shadow Cloak is simple, PGs is simple. The cat is here for extra defense, because you can simply just bind the 0 and 2 and keep the 1 here as the booster. You have enough grade 2s or whatever to do the stuff. And if you are using Prison Dragon, you're definitely going for a quick game, so that's why he's here. And then looking into orders, into letters for against the Shiranui as usual. Draw 2 restraints, Habitat, Dreams, Unnatural Death, Miasma, Tane Machine Gun, and then you can see the Shadow Dreamblade is here. If you actually kind of playing a fast game, then and you are not using Karma, that means you have a lot of energy to actually spare, because with Karma you always need to save like 4 energy in case you want to just do a big push. But then if you don't have the Karma into the deck, then that means you do have a lot of resources to actually use for your energy. But it's very interesting to see the Dark OT. I think it's because he's not using any Headhunter, so anything that help you recover or heal is helpful. So put it there, and somehow to increase 1 more attack, so that you can just go with all the sides, and then use your Vanguard attack, Divine Skill to stand 1 side, and then use the Dark OT to bring another side up for more swings, right? So I can see the logic, but to me, I'm not a fan of you actually using the Dark OT in Zorga. At least there are a lot of decks that are actually good with using it, but I don't think it fits Zorga that well. Alright, so we are into another build. Now this time we can see it's basically a full new Zorga red line. And then we can see the Karma back here, no more Prison Dragon, and then still the Headhunter there, and just slotting 1 Brave Shooter in case you need it. But if you are using 1, I'd rather not using, but I guess they just probably make the deck and then just, oh, I have 1 slot left, what should I do? And then they just put in the Brave Shooter. and the Shadow Cloak is here. The Trundelize is here. Probably still kind of like playing in a Zorga mirror match way to kind of go over opponent's guard, or if they need a power turn, they can do it. And then PGs are just different names: Headhunter, crits, fronts. The rest is basically the same, and we can start seeing regurgitation. Only one pot of greed, 2 miasma, and 2 habitat to kind of ensure you have a good board. So I think this is also kind of a rushing build, kind of. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's all we need to tell about this. Okay, let's go into the next one. All right, so this one we are also seeing a new red line, and then we can start to see a mix of Prison Dragon and Karmas here, so they won't go over 4, and then this little zombie is here as well. The reason you play this is if you are trying your best to bind cards early, and you actually want something that hit bigger than the Karma at all times. Because Karma, again, it won't gain power unless you're willing to energy blast, so you can just consider it a 10k at all times. And Shadow Cloak is here, and this is also a turning point where people using the shade here, because this card in hand can like when you use card effects to discard order cards, you can consider this card as order cards, right? So it's helpful, I guess, which helping you to discard and stuff. So well, I do see people using this more and more and more, and in the back row it actually can gain power, so it is still great. Yeah, so if you need to discard order, then you can actually use the shade and then reborn it, and then you can see this is like basically max out at 4 to do the early push to start binding orders early and early and early. So yeah, that can happen. And then the rest is just quite simple, I guess. Yeah, so the shade, it did say card effects, so and this part it did say as a cost, so I don't think they can mix together, but I need to do a little bit more study on this. Yeah, because it's a card effects, and that definitely saying cost, so I don't think it is that way, but I will do my research. Okay, so yeah, the Tiny Machine Gun is also here, Dream Blade, and then the Golden Body. Just so far the changes is definitely on the grade 2, and then more on the grade 1, and then into this, and then the reborn of the Prison Dragon. Yeah, definitely that. All right, so this one we can see the Coffin here, also as a way to bind cards early. This build, I think, it should be from Kagami Hayate, if I don't remember correctly, but I think it is. So you can see the Ranger chain is here for the draws, no Prison Dragon, and then because you will run out of so quick, you'll use the Flower Girl here to do the soul charge. And I think the rest is also quite self-explanatory. The the two part of grid or just drawing a lot of cards as much as possible. Yeah, so far it's quite straightforward as well, but then you can see the changes of like using different ways to bind orders with unit cards. It's getting popular in Japan. And next is this. So overall I think it's also kind of the same, right? You can see the order is basically still the same type of stuff, and then we are using the butterfly girl here more and more. Yeah, nothing too much to say about this build, I guess. And then this one also kind of the same, but then you can also see a bit changes, right, from the great ones. Now we do have our scissors here to grab orders you need, and to do that you rely on prison dragons, because prison dragon is something that you can simply just let them go and just have fun to grab the orders, because they are not a single shield value, so you can just simply pop them. And then the cube tier, so this little fairy here helps you if you really can't find a single order in hand and drop, but you want to alchemy magic, you can at least use this card to get that to happen. And you have Shadow Cloak to bounce this back to your hand so that you can reuse it. Karma is here, and then you can actually start to see, instead of key cards, we are going into a 2-box Highlander way of seeing stuff, right? So I think it starts here, and then with triggers is simple, with orders is also simple, but then you can see the mask here, but the Zorga mask is not here. So this is very interesting. I guess they just trying to find something that is free, and I do see the trend of finding ways to shuffle your deck is happening in Zorga. So if you want something to shuffle your deck, this can be an option, I guess. And then the rest is kind of self-explanatory still, but you can see here the tiny machine gun is gone, where 2 golden body and 1 shadow blade for better shield value, I would say. Alright, let's go into the next one. Right, so this one is a list from a player in Japan posting on Twitter. That is how I get inspired into going for a more 2-box Highlander build by referencing this. So he is using the Ranger chain for being stable, and he just don't trust the new great one. So that's where the difference. And then the rest I've explained already. You can see he's only using 1 personal right, which if you don't trust your personal right, that's definitely a way to go. That you just, if you see it, you see. If you don't, you just play normally, as long as you are prepared for that. Zorga mask. The mask order is here so that if you need to do a jump right, you can. And the moment you do it is basically for a few moments. One is a very late game where you want to do a different kind of push, then you can go for it. And then another one is very early game when your opponents go on grade 3 first, and you just kind of want to punish them with high power, because if you go for Zorga Nadir, you aren't actually pushing them that hard, because you will only be gaining like 5k to your units that you reborn, maximum 10k just by the Zorga skill. But then with Zorga Mask, you go from Person Ride, you do Alchemy Magic plus 10k, you're plus 20k to all 3 lines. So the power level is very different. So if you kind of early rushing your opponents to 4 to 5 damage, and then they go into grade 3, they don't have a lot of cards in hand, and you have Zorga Mask in hand, you have the Mask Order in your drop zone, then you probably will just go for it, high power push and win. So you have at least these 2 moments to do it, and then the other times is probably when you don't see this at all, but then the other ones is here, then you can do it, right? And then you just slowly turn back to Zorga Nadir to just push normally. Yeah, and then yeah, I think that's basically what I need to tell about this. Highlander is something that I was using when he first released, and I'm not using right now. Just that I don't see a need, but then if you really want to put something in the drop zone, you have a chance to do it, and it's a like self power gain, so I guess you can find a spot for it. But then I just rather use other cards, so I have a build that is slightly different to this one, but I do reference with this deck build and not using the mill 5 as well, because I don't trust myself building 5. I will be in pain 99%. So unless I am in a quest to just do rush games, and I do want to see like 10 cards in drop so that I can get Highlander plus 10k online early, then I might consider. But if not, then I won't be putting this card into the deck. Yeah, and yeah, the rest is quite self-explanatory as well. The Nectar is like when you really have nothing to gain crit, or you really need some extra power to do the push while you have a whole bunch of cards in your drop zone, then this will be a good thing to do. Yeah, and lastly is another build that completely go all in with the Prison Dragons, and then all in with the Shades, right? So this is a build that I am still kind of trying to understand what is going on. They are trying to mill their deck with quality with Highlander, also trying to like this. If you ask me, this is definitely a very aggressive deck, because you are building yourself very fast by all these and then like yeah Prison Dragons, and then this also milling, soul charging when you need, and the 4 of these is really kind of, to me, is still kind of unknown. Maybe I just need to look into this card a little bit more. So this is very interesting to see what happens with this card, right? I don't know. Yeah, when this card, when your card defects, you need to discard all the cards. This card can be discarded as all the cards. Yeah, card effects, so maybe it actually can happen. I just need to do a little bit of study. Actually, let me try to look into this quickly. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at right now. The Q&A. So it did put in like as a cost, and this is exactly how it's written right here. And they ask if you like have a cost, as this saying this, And when you discard, can you actually discard this as an order? You can. So based on this, I would say the main reason for this is to use your e-rendering source. So yeah, I immediately go to study it, find QA, which is better to find answers, right? So we get our answers, and well, I do think this is how they want it to work. If not, you won't be putting in 4. So yeah, I think we get our answers. Maybe you will find something different to tell me, maybe, but at least based on what I found, I think that's what it is, right? So trying to increase your drives with this and then reborn it to give it power, make it stronger, push turn. So this is definitely something that I do want to try as well. I haven't been playing around with this kind of list, which I will be doing that since we probably won't get any further upgrades in BCBD05. So if I want to play a new toy with Zorga, this is definitely something that I can look into. But so far, I like the 2-box Highlander build a lot more, so I will keep my main Blink build using this, and because I have enough resources to build another Zorga deck, then I will go for this one and also have a try. So yeah, there we go. And I did put the person's list also here, so he did show us how like he won the Shaka tournaments with this build, and then he changes a little bit in, I think is in the other tournament from Mirutai, I think, right? Yeah, it should be that one, because that's how I get this build from. And then I went into his Twitter and talked to him. I probably will be meeting him next year, hopefully. If everything goes well, I can fly to Japan for Vanguard Fest again, then I will just do it for sure. But you can see how things are changing from like this, where we have like 0 prison dragons, and things are more stable with the trolls, with something against the ninjas, and then slowly turning into a build where you start binding cards early, and then trying to find something that pump power early game and starting to use the prison dragon, and then go into a 2-box, also including Zorga Mask for different times. And by using Zorga Mask, I think is a very early idea as well, which I have been trying early games, but I couldn't find a good way. But now we do, so it's definitely good for me, because like I did bought 4 of the secret warriors. I did need to find somewhere to use it, right? So it's definitely good for having it there. And with the 2-box Highlander build, what I like is that you actually get to use different cards instead of like having a very boring turn. You every turn just basically reborn these, use this, punch, and then see a good timing, define skills, then 2 punch, win or lose from there. But with this, you can do a lot of things. You can do early rush with the prison dragons, you can do early crit attacks with the prison dragons, you can use a lot of different orders in different timings, through Shadow Cloak and pick it back up here, through this little fairy to just find it for you in from the deck to immediately use, for you to just pick it back up somehow. So, and also like this, the butterfly girl, for you to pick up the good blitz order, or whenever you need power up when you have blitz order used, and then search yourself another order so you are good for another turn. Yeah, I just like this very much. Like, yeah, all of these, like Highlander 2-box build, I just like it. After I play it for a whole day, I just in love with this kind of build. But this one, I do need to give it a try and see how it goes. Maybe it also fit my taste as well, even though you can see the cards there are just like basically maxing out the ones that you really need and just kind of doing the same thing. But then the Prison Dragon is here to give you the early rush options. You just need to use it right, and hopefully you have enough shield value to survive for a turn or two and just win from there. And more interestingly, this deck doesn't care about person right at all. I just noticed that. Yeah, he just basically tells my grade 3 is only Prison Dragon, I'm not going to person right anything single thing, and that's why you need the Flower Girl to keep soul charging, because you don't have person right to do it, and you don't have a second copy to just soul blast and pick it back up, because like even with the Highlander 2-box build, you have one right there so that you can just recycle between the two. So you person right on top, soul blast this, bring it back, Shadow Cloak pick it up, right again, and then you repeat the process, right? In this build, you don't even have that option. So, and you are not having the Holy Grail, the Chalice, to do the person right. So this build doesn't care about person right. It's all about basically winning on the grave return, or maybe the next. That's how I see it. Yeah, so I will give this a try and see if this card build can actually do something, because a lot of decks right now, they are kind of fast, but they are not as fast as playing a grade 1, grade 2 game at all times, except Shoujo Doji, right? Even Odin is just playing a grade 3 game kind of. You can do some grade 2 plays, but then your defense will actually get quite weak, and those are the times where this kind of build actually shines, where you just punish your opponents by going all out before you go to grade 3 and go even further beyond on your first grade return, and hopefully just win from there. So yeah, and you can see it's just using draw to just trying to grab resources as early as possible and just keep drawing a bunch of cards. Yeah, so I think also the key is to use the Shadow Cloak to put rendering souls to your drop zone and then bind it and just keep reusing it every single turn. So yeah, definitely worth the try. I will give it a try and see how it works. And I think that concludes all the lists where I can find right now for the JP side. There might be more. I will probably look into it in a future time. For now, I think that's all we need to look at, and we have gone through quite a bit of different Zorga builds. I hope you also learned something from it, like me. Zorga definitely still have future, and hopefully we can still get more support. Not up to a place where like a Fada King version for it to come, which I do hope it can happen one day, where we can kind of have fun with a different Zorga, or maybe in a new era we will get a completely different Zorga again. But the current one is actually doing a lot of things and a lot of good things, so I still like it. And as a Zorga player since set 1, I am very pleased to see Zorga actually getting evolved for so many times. We get the blue Zorga to start, we get the red Zorga, which both of them requires you to be very hard working in order to win, and then go into Zorga mask where we get our power turns a lot easier, which actually turns Zorga into a very good deck, into a tournament pick by more people. And then to this current one, where when set to released, it actually created a trend that people love to use it. Like now we don't see that much anymore. I think mainly for the time constraint, and it requires you to just be good at the deck, because even with the same content, every single time your combination can be completely different. And that's why it's so fun to play with Zorga, but it's also why people don't like to play with Zorga that much, because if you don't have a few sequence in your head, you will burn out throughout a long tournament, right? Because if you kind of know, okay, if this kind of situation, I probably would go for option A, and then the other situation I will go for option B, the other situation I will go for option C. If you already have this kind of mindset, then your brain will not die out that easily for the whole day. But it's not always the right answer, because like similar situation will not always be option A. It could be option A plus. Like that's how fun Zorga can be. So I hope this kind of video can help people also learn into why people making this kind of decks for tournaments and actually getting to the top, because they do put in different efforts, they try the different things, they just put a lot of effort into the deck in order to win. So I just want more people to like also get inspired by the idea and then try to make your own build, right? It can be similar. It's just like how I reference the toolbox Highlander, and then just use my own set of ratios, my own set of cards that I want to use, and then make something similar, right? Everyone can do it. As long as you put the heart to it, you have fun with the deck. I think that's all that matters. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. That's all I need to talk about it. I think it's long enough. If you have any kind of questions you want to ask, feel free to ask in the comments down below. Hopefully, again, this can inspire you to at least give Zorga a try, or if you're already playing Zorga, try to look into different ideas and see which one fits you, and hopefully this can help you top, right? Yeah, so yeah, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.